Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another very interesting Takara Tomy set to take a look at. You can see this is another of their infamous 3-packs. They release every so often. They release like triple packs of different figures. This time we've got some brand new repaints, some figures that are very interesting looking overall and may be kind of familiar once I actually pop this box open. But you can see as far as the front of the box goes, we've got a nice window area there showing the figures off. And then if we turn the box here to the side, you can now see basically what figures are included, as we've got a T-Rex, a Triceratops, and a Velociraptor. And then if we turn it over here, we again have some more images, basically an entire pack of Velociraptors over here. You can see all kinds of other paint variants back there, some of which I don't know that I've ever even seen before. And then here on the back, you can yet again see more as far as the figures go, more, images and stuff up there. But you can also see that this package is a little beat up. It didn't, arrive in the best shape, but that's okay. I don't intend on keeping the packaging regardless. So let's pop the box open and take a look at these 3 new figures. So straight away inside the packaging, there's a really cool kind of a backdrop here that gives you a super prehistoric kind of almost like a movie setting where you have like the volcano going off and everything. So I really do like that. I think I'll keep that part of the packaging at the very least. Then we've got our figures, and all of them have such a very weird, unique coloration to them, and I'm not really sure exactly what's going on as far as this coloration goes, but it's probably some of the most out there coloration that I think I've seen on Takara Tomy figures up until this point. But at the same time, they actually look pretty cool. And again, like I said, you might notice some of them, they may look familiar to you because, first of all, we've got, I think it was Dark Flame was potentially the name of this T-Rex. We had that larger version that was almost sort of Mattel-like previously. And then we've got a Triceratops that looks very similar to the Triceratops that was in that larger size range of figures. And then we've also got a Velociraptor, which that one doesn't look familiar at all. Well, I mean, sculpt-wise it does. We've had all 3 of these figures in the past as far as the sculpt goes, but brand new paint variants for each and every one of them. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at all 3 of these right now. So again, sculpt-wise, we've actually reviewed all 3 of these figures on the channel in the past, so we don't need to go over the sculpts of any of them, which should help us get through this a little quicker because there are quite a few figures to review. But paint-wise, they're all absolutely new. So straight away, we've got the Velociraptor, and the Velociraptor clearly has a very Jurassic Park-inspired look to it. Not perfect, but definitely Jurassic Park-inspired. However, the coloration is very interesting because we have this very light yellowish green color for the majority of the body, but then we have this crazy metallic sort of like a maroon or red that like shows up here in the face, and you can see it kind of wraps around the eye socket area, stripes up toward the palate there, and then runs down the center of the snout of the Velociraptor. And we also, again, have the inside of the mouth painted. We've got a nice kind of a light tone there for the tongue. You've got the teeth painted out and everything. Same deal there for the inside of the mouth and the upper side. Nice pinkish tone in there. And the mouth does close pretty nicely. But as you move down here, first of all, it looks like this raptor recently had a manicure because the nails are painted with that same similar kind of metallic tone. As we continue to move along, you can see that metallic tone returns yet again in front of the thigh, moving down the course of the leg, and you can see it kind of runs down the front of the thigh and stripes back into the leg the entire way down, giving it a pretty striking look. And then as we move down into the foot sculpt, you can see the entire foot is engulfed in that coloration yet again, and again very shiny, very metallic looking as far as that coloration goes. As we move out the length of the tail, though, you can see there is no other coloration for the figure as you lead out. You do have articulated legs, of course, like you did on this raptor the last time, and then 2 ball joints moving out through the length of the tail, which allow you to articulate the tail pretty nicely and swivel it and everything like that. But again, it's a very weird looking paint job for this figure. Is it striking? Absolutely. But is it naturalistic? Not in the slightest. Very interesting color. And again, I don't know if this is some form of a special edition for some sort of reason that I'm unaware of, but I'd certainly be intrigued to learn more about it. We've then got the Triceratops, and again, this Triceratops sort of replicates the one that we had seen that was the larger version, but not perfectly. You can see that the majority of the body is a dark green, just like we had seen on that version, the larger version of the Triceratops. We've got a black eye, and it also has a white spot to sort of insinuate eye shine, similar to what the raptor had. You can see a light tone of color there for the horns, kind of a white, which definitely makes those horns jump out at you when it comes to playing off of the greenish tones of the face. The inside of the mouth does have a tongue painted out in there, which looks pretty good. And then as you lead up into the frill, you can see, again, just like with the raptor, you have those metallic tones return, and you can see they kind of stripe and design all over the place. You can also see a much more naturalistic, more subtle variation of that color that kind of runs up there through the frill and then back down, and also has two circles in there, and then there's also, again, a yellowish tone within there. And I will say it's absolutely as striking as it gets when it comes to the coloration that you might see on the frill of a ceratopsy. And yet again, though, I wouldn't expect them to have metallic color. But as you lead back here into the back, something that we didn't really see on the other version, which again, this doesn't perfectly replicate that version, it's just similar. You do have, again, that metallic tone running here along the course of the spinal column all the way out onto the tail, and then striping down here along the side of the figure. We do have a much more naturalistic tone of color for the nails on this one, as we have a black, and the nails actually look really good when it comes to the paint. The black actually has a nice glossy look to it, and you can see it actually better if I turn the figure upside down. Way better than having that metallic tone on the nails like we had seen on the raptor. But I really do love this sculpt of the Triceratops. It's actually a really nice looking one from Takara Tomy, and even though the coloration again isn't naturalistic, I actually really quite like the colors of it as well. And then of course we do have an articulated area here on this like we usually do. You can see you can articulate the head, swivel it around, up, down, all sorts of movements, because it is on a ball joint just like it was the first time around when we had this figure previously. And then the final one would be our Dark Flame Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you can see again, same sculpt that we have had in the past when it comes to an old school T-Rex. Not really super old school or vintage, but old school when it comes to Takara Tomy. But you can see again, just like we had with the larger version, we have kind of like an injury there over the eye where it's painted with a white, and then you can also see the teeth are painted with a pretty bright white. And yet again, that metallic tone returns as it kind of starts here in the snout and runs up and over the top of the head, down through the course of the entire back, leading all the way out here onto the tail. You can also see that we have this little splotchy area of a white on the side of the dinosaur. When I had seen that on my larger version, I almost thought that that was a paint mishap, but clearly it's not, because this one has it as well. You can also see that we again have that kind of injury here in the face where we have 4 slash marks running down the face, or I assume it's an injury at least, but again painted with the white. And you can see again we have a red eye with a white spot to kind of give it again that sort of eye shine. We do have an articulated jaw. We've got a much darker tone, almost like a really dark purple for the tongue on the inside of the mouth. You can see the teeth are again painted, and we have that tone running up there on the inside of the mouth. Up there, you can see the nails don't really look like they have any specific paint there on the fingers, but the nails on the feet are painted with a black, so since the entire arm there is black, I guess that's why we have that going on. But you can see the jaw articulates very nicely. I forgot to mention that. But as you move down into the feet, you can see the feet, just like with the raptor, kind of are overtaken with that metallic tone. We do have nails painted again, though, with a black, nice glossy black, which does look pretty nice. But again, the metallic tone may not be the most naturalistic coloration for a dinosaur. But you again have articulated legs, just like you had with the raptor, and then 2 areas of articulation moving out into the tail with those ball joints, just like you had with the raptor. So same articulation as the raptor. And then as you turn it around, you also again have 4 slash marks in the stomach region. And that's really about it when it comes to the new paint apps. So it's probably not the best Takara Tomy T-Rex we've seen, but it is still actually a pretty interesting looking one. And even though, again, it's not the most naturalistic color, it's still pretty flashy, and I do sort of like it. Now we have, again, like I said, reviewed all of these figures in the past, so we don't need to really do size comparisons or any measurements or anything like that. If you are interested in seeing more of that, you can check out the original reviews for each and every one of these and other packs that they've released over the years. So this brand new 3-pack of Takara Tomy dinosaurs is quite the interesting one. Quite different than what I've seen from them in the past, but again, there's got to be something that I don't know about when it comes to these figures and the entire idea of giving them all that kind of metallic look, because it doesn't look very realistic on the dinosaurs, so there must be some other reason for it. But even though it doesn't look realistic, it does look really cool, and I must give them kind of props as far as giving us something very unique and very different than what I've ever seen before. Every single one of them, again, has a very unique look to it. The raptor, not the best color in the world. I'm not a huge fan of the yellowish tone that it has going on, but again, I'm also not a huge fan in general of the painted nails of that raptor either when it comes to that metallic tone. But it definitely stands out, that's for sure. If you were to kind of lay out all of the Takara Tomy raptors, I think most people would probably say, what's going on with that one? So he's probably going to stand out more so than most other Takara Tomy raptors. Still a cool sculpt and very interesting paint apps. I think the Triceratops does actually look really cool, and even though it is a metallic coloration we have running through a large portion of the figure, it's very striking and plays off of the green quite nicely, and if it wasn't metallic, could potentially be a pretty naturalistic look for a dinosaur like this. Again, sculpt-wise, it's phenomenal. It's got awesome sculpt and detail and a really cool look to it. I think the only thing that I would have changed on that one would have been maybe painting the beak. I think it really could have used some paintwork for the beak. But overall, again, even though it's not realistic, it looks really cool. And the same can be said for the T-Rex, and I actually really like the dark tones of the T-Rex. Something that I actually did like about the larger version, even though the larger version was kind of a letdown as far as a Takara Tomy figure goes. This one, sculpt-wise, looks a whole lot better than the larger one does, and the paint job, again, looks pretty darn cool, and I like the way the metallic tones play off of the darker tones of the body, and overall, again, it's just genuinely a neat-looking Tyrannosaurus from Takara Tomy. All figures sport articulation here, maybe not the most articulation with the Triceratops, but it does at least have some. However, the other two do have a bit more when it comes to articulation. But regardless, again, it's still a pretty cool set and a very interesting choice of figures from Takara Tomy. So if you are interested, I will do my best to add some links to the description where you can purchase these. I want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Dino Mike Mac for hooking me up with these guys. So if you are interested, check the links, grab them if you want, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.